Vice President Harris is back in the Washington, D.C. area this morning after a glitzy San Francisco fundraiser at the Fairmont Hotel downtown with California Governor Gavin Newsom and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
And today marks 22 days since Harris rose to the top of the Democratic ticket, but she still hasn't given a formal interview answer.
Yeah, that's right, Lawrence. But we did finally see President Biden sit down for an interview, his first since dropping out of the race.
Look, the polls we had showed that it was a neck-and-neck race. Would have been down to the wire. But what happened was a number of my Democratic colleagues in the House and Senate thought that I was going to hurt them in the races. And I was concerned if I stayed in the race, that would be the topic. You'd be interviewing me about why did Nancy Pelosi say, why did someone, and I thought it'd be a real distraction, number one. Number two, when I ran the first time, I thought of myself as being a transition president. I can't even say how old I am. It's hard for me to get out of my mouth.
To those who have expressed skepticism about how much you'll be on the trail or about the rest of your term, raise questions about your health, what do you say to them?
All I can say is watch, that's all. Look, I had a really, really bad day in that debate because I was sick. But I have no serious problem.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, he's still bitter about Nancy Pelosi. Her name came up. He was kicked to the curb, stabbed in the back, stabbed in the front, and then was just left for dead. And you could see no one talks about him. No one, everybody that said he was doing so great, and it was he was the second coming of FDR. Well, behind the scenes was destroying him. And once he got out, you see now we're all supposed to think that Kamala Harris is this genius politician who's being held back by Joe Biden. I'm very curious to see if the American people continue to buy it, because it seems to be the scenario they're thinking about now.
Well,
I wonder.
I'm sorry, so go ahead.
How hard do you think it was, Lawrence, for him to do this interview? And how planned were these answers?
I mean, I don't know. I still, to this day, just judging by the interview, no one has still been honest with him. They keep telling him the reason why they wanted him out is because of his impact on the Senate and House race. But no one has said, Mr. President, Father Time has caught up with you. No one is saying, hey, there's something wrong right now. And so the fact that they're still letting him carry on, I don't blame him for that portion of it. I do think it's fascinating that him and Nancy Pelosi, that the truth is finally out, that she did do all the dirty work, and he's acknowledging now.
Well, you know, and I will say this. We pretty much had that story a couple of weeks ago. It was like, okay, people are showing him some polls, but they're the wrong polls. They're just his team was showing him polls that were favorable to him, and other people said they got to show him these polls, and eventually they did. And then people one by one, including Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, went to the president and said, "Look, you are killing us. If you are the standard bearer, we're all going to lose. And that will suck," essentially is what they were saying. And that will be your legacy. But yesterday on the CBS show, he said, you know what I want my legacy to be? This.
How do you want history to remember President Biden?
That he proved democracy can work. It got us out of a pandemic. It produced the single greatest economic recovery in American history. We're the most powerful economy in the world. We have more to do. And it demonstrated that we can pull the nation together. Look, I've always believed, and I still do, the American people are good and decent. They're honorable people. When I announced my candidacy to run way back for president, I said we got to do three things: restore the soul of America, build the economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down, and bring the country together.
I mean, if the country is together, I mean, we're
really in trouble.
I mean, what is really together then?
I think they're glad he's out of the way. I don't think they're being honest with him now because they don't care anymore. He's gone. He's gone. Now they're focused on Kamala. But when he talks about wanting to be known for the economy, we know what it's like to go to the grocery store. We know what it's like to try to buy a house. You can't right now because interest rates are too high. We want them to go back down. Look at the comparison of Joe Biden with Kamala Harris as his vice president versus Trump. There was no wage growth. In fact, it was in the negative under these two. Increase in prices, look how much it was under those two, more than 19%. And credit card debt 1.14 trillion compared with $820 billion under Donald Trump.
And so to that point, the big thing that, and we've been talking about this for a year, the big two issues for the Democrats and the Republicans, who's best on the economy and the border as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about the pivot on the border. But it's interesting. What she's got to do is she's got to convince people that she will do a better job than Donald Trump did. But you look at the numbers and it's like, well, think we're better. It's the whole thing. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? In the polling, 79% of Republicans think that Trump did a better job. Not surprising. But only 48%, less than a majority of Democrats, think that they would be better off if Harris wins. So, in other words, the people she needs to vote for her think somebody else would do a better job.
So, for one thing, the President of the United States, was there an infant sleeping in the room next door? I mean, speak up. I mean, are we keeping you up? Just show a little bit of verve, number one. Number two is that Kamala Harris has done the impossible. She's pretending like she was not with him.
Right.
She is taking the president's issues and making them their own. I'm surprised she didn't end the last speeches, I'm going to build a wall.
Right.
I mean, now she's going to no longer tax tips and she's going to tackle inflation. This guy made inflation. Yeah. She was supposedly by his side on every major decision, so you got to take responsibility for it from Afghanistan on down. And now she's like, we're not going to tax tips, and I'm going to, on day one, I'm going to take in inflation. Yeah. It is the problem. I just hope the American people are smart enough to know that she can't possibly mean what she says. Because if she continues to say this as if she has not been vice president for 4 years, bragging about she was here every step of the way, I think that the voters are smarter than that. But judging by some recent poll movement, maybe they're not yet. Maybe they're buying some of the rhetoric. But when she came back and said, I'm going to tell a bunch of Nevada, when she told Nevada audience that I'm going to, mostly hospitality workers, according to the stats, that I'm not going to tax tips, she did that unabashedly as if the American people don't know where that idea came from. They just didn't have an RNC them talking about it.
Also, if that's their idea,
come on.
Also, if that's their idea, why haven't you guys implemented that into a law already? Right. She's pulling up to hangars now with Air Force One behind her as if we don't know who created that type of movement with rallies and all. Also, the question is, if she believes what Joe Biden is saying, that he created the best economy ever, why isn't she running on that? Why is she doing interviews saying, look, the economy is roaring right now and the American people are behind it?
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.